All right, ladies and gentlemen, Fab is in the house. And today I've got the Spyderco Manix 2 in 4V. Pretty nice one. As usual, we're going to analyze the look, the sound, and the feel of this guy. But first of all, let's just do a quick size comparison to see how big this guy is. This is up against the Native 5, also from Spyderco. And this is up against the big boy. This is the Spyderco Shaman. So as you can see, right in between, this is two. Another couple of Spydercos, pretty popular. You have your PM2. Over here you have the PM3. So yeah, there you go. Let's do just also this guy. So not to do only Spyderco stuff. This is Benchmade 940-1, so just a tad smaller than the Manix. So let's check out the look of this guy, because this is very interesting. This is a sprint run. I believe around 450 of these were made. So yeah, it's a rare piece, but you can also find, just a regular Manix too. This is an exclusive, like a sprint run, made exclusively for Fraden Lock company. And it's not a small knife, because it's like 8-inch long in the open position, or 20 centimeters, and yeah, I mean it's not a small knife, but it's well proportioned. You see these lines are pretty sinuous. Of course, this is made in US, Colorado. And it's an original design. So I was saying, the lines are pretty sinuous. There's no straight line in the, except for the side of the pocket clip, but every line is quite rounded off. So overall, it's very harmonious, I would say. The scales are special, because these are made of marble carbon fiber. They're solid scales. It's quite thick, and yeah, very, very interesting pattern. They shimmer under this light. They're pretty reflective, as you can see. They create a nice effect. I like this one. This one has like full liners, steel liners, as you can see, not just partial, which are skeletonized to save weight. In fact, on the inside, you can appreciate they heavily removed, materials to improve the lightness of this guy. You have like nice finger grooves over here, so we're gonna see in the ergo department that this guy is gonna shine. You have nice chamfering, actually, going on around the edge. So they did a pretty nice job in milling these scales, as well as like the jimping. There's jimping over here on the back, and over here, and also on the back right here. So if you're a jimping fan, you're gonna be happy with this guy. And but the main feature, the main characteristic of this one is the ball bearing lock, because yeah, this is sporting like a fully ambidextrous ball bearing lock, which is a little bit different than your axis lock, for example, which is the option offered from Benchmade. The principle, I would say, is the same, because you have like a pin right there. It's hidden by this kind of backspacer over here, but right there on the inside you have a ball bearing, all right, which is gonna be falling right into this. Yeah, you can see over here this hole at this notch at the end of the blade, in the tang of the blade, and it's gonna keep the knife in position. Whereas here you have this. You see the pin that is going right there. And also another difference is that the Benchmade is using 2 Omega springs, whereas this guy is just using like a pretty strong coil right over there. So pretty different mechanism, but with some similarities. I would say this is smoother than the axis lock because of the nature of a sphere. Running along the tang of the blade, it's going to be super smooth and probably a little bit more sturdy. The only thing I'm not a fan is this plastic button. I mean, it's hard plastic. I don't see that fail, but this is the only plastic part of this knife. So, whereas on the Benchmade, you just got your steel buttons over here. So also the screws are pretty straightforward. You got a T10 for the pivot and T8 for the handle and the pocket clip as well. They're completely flush, which I appreciate a lot, and they are steel screws, not titanium. I mean, you can buy some aftermarket titanium screws if you like, but I appreciate the fact that they are flush, and overall, it is quite an easy to disassemble knife. It's not the easiest, but you can do it. You're not gonna have any issues. The pocket clip is the classic Spyderco pocket clip. Tip up, tip down. Sorry, this one is only tip up. It's not tip down, but it's fully reversible. You can mount it on this side, and that way you basically have a fully ambidextrous knife because the nature of the ball bearing lock is accessible even for a lefty, no issues whatsoever. So pretty good. You have, of course, classic lanyard tube from Spyderco, which also serves as a standoff, as you can notice over here. And you have, pretty overall nice construction over here with these liners are going to give you a pretty nice stability. If you check, blade centering is spot on, and what makes this knife shine is actually right over here. This is a CPM 4V steel, which is like a powder metal tool steel, which translates into a high impact, extremely high hardness and abrasion resistant kind of steel. So in fact, this is like a 3.37 inch blade, or 86 millimeters, and has a saber grind, which means you have a nice hollow over here, on this side, and just a big flat side, for the spine over here, which is gonna contribute to have extremely high toughness while being extremely slicing, because this guy is pretty thin behind the edge. Even if you don't have a sharpening choil to reveal the full thinness of this grind, I can tell you it's pretty thin. But being in 4V, it's gonna be extremely hard. So you have I think one of the perfect combos for the blade. So very sturdy, very slicely, beefy stock. It's nice. I like this one. Also, the grind symmetry, it's pretty spot on. The edge is also symmetric, so they did a pretty nice job in sharpening this guy. Even if you don't have a sharpening choil over here, I think you're gonna be fine. I would have preferred to see that, but this is life. You can't have everything. You also, there's no you have a finger choil over here, and you see nice plunge grind coming down perpendicular to the edge and revealing a pretty big recast over here, which is billboarded with brand, steel name, logo, and place of production. You have quite some jimping going on top, on the bottom here, which is great. I mean, Spyderco is famous to do this kind of up and down jimping, which is gonna be pretty awesome in some more advanced choke up position when you hold the blade a little bit in a more advanced position. The spine is not really crowned. It's not sharp, but it's not crowned. So keep that in mind. And there's no swedge over here. Just you just have your Spidey hole, classic way of deploying the blade. So let's hear a little bit of noise, because this guy is is doing this, which is, I mean, it's a nice clack, all right? At the same time, it's solid, but it's also soft. I mean, it's not that obtrusive. Or it's loudish, not too much, but it's interesting. I mean, you know that this sound, you know, it translates into something pleasant to your ears. I like this one. Also, like when you close the knife, you can actually just pull it down like this, and you're gonna have this sweet thump, you know, like that. Or, you know, if you just pull down the ball bearing lock, you have this noise. All right, which is very different because you are not letting this one going up. So it's going to be slightly different like this. So it's an interesting mix of thump and cluck. It's quite mellow, and I appreciate that. It's not the best sounding knife ever, but it's, I mean, not too shabby, eh? Yeah. So for what concerns the feeling department, this knife is weighing in at 4.4 ounces or like 125 grams. So it's all right. I mean, it's not heavy. It's not super light. It has a nice heft to it, and you know, overall you have. I would say a tiny bit of hot spot over here if you use this kind of grip. If you do this one, this disappears, you know, and it feels incredible. I mean, it feels, you see, like you have these finger grooves right over here, and this is just you know, almost like not a perfect grip, but pretty close. I really appreciate the control you gain with this advanced position, like choking it up and, you know, squeezing the blade in these 2 points, because you have some pretty nice jimping, and, you know, it's gonna give you a good control feeling. So yeah, appreciate the ergos on this one. Not really like sharp corners, because they did a pretty good job in chamfering, and you also can do like a pretty nice reverse grip, but you're gonna have this hot spot here. It's not crazy, but remember, you're gonna have that in the reverse grip. Overall, you know, it's gonna feel a tad wide in the pocket. You know, you're gonna, because it's a little bit wider than others, but it's the nature of this one. So that's probably my only gripe regarding the feelings of this one, because overall the texture, you know, of these relatively flat scales it's kind of smooth. I like it, and the fit and finish, guys, I would have to say it's spot on. I don't see any gaps over here. I don't see any blade play, you know, up and down, left and right. They did a pretty serious job for this sprint run. Clip is, you know, the classic Spyderco clip. You know this one. You know, you have a nice clip ramp over here. It is pretty springy. It's gonna keep safely your knife in your pocket, so you're pretty good to go. When you open this one, the deployment speed, you know, you can opt like for you know, two-hand opening method. You can do your thumb flick, you can do your Spidey flick like that. So you have a couple options over here, and they're gonna be relatively fast, I would say, except for, of course, like two-hand opening. You can even decide to deploy the blade by just pulling down, you know, the lock and just doing like that, like, you know, like in this way, the blade is freely spinning around the pivot because you're just keeping the lock released. So there you go. So it's another fun and fidgety way of deploying this blade. So pretty good options right here, typical of Spyderco, with the added bonus of this kind of, you know, of the ball bearing lock. You're gonna have a little bit of finger sore at the beginning, till you develop some muscle memory in your fingers, because this lock, it's quite strong. So you know, you have to pull down these two tabs in order to release the ball bearing from the notch in the tang of the blade. But then you're gonna be rewarded, you know, with this pretty smooth drop shutty action, because you see blade just drops shut and just close with a nice and controlled guillotine effect into the handle. So it's very nice. Only thing, you just need a little bit extra strength, for example, compared to the Benchmade over here, in order to release the lock for the blade. So just keep that in mind. So overall, you know, this is a pretty nice knife. The ergos are very, very good. It has okay sounding, and the look, I appreciate this one. It's a little bit wide overall, but materials employed in this one are premium, and this translates into a pretty, you know, high quality sprint run, which I appreciate. So there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.